Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I'm still in my pajamas. We just did school. We ate breakfast. I am going to get dinner going in my crock pot. It's a double crock pot kind of day. One crock pot's going to have chicken with salsa and seasoning, and the other crock pot's going to have pinto beans that I soaked overnight with some green chilies and broth and seasonings to make a refried bean. They're not actually refried, but a smashed pinto bean. And we are going to do sheet pan quesadillas tonight. So let me take you along as I get my crock pots ready. I've got one package here of Farmer Focus organic free-range boneless skinless chicken breasts. I get this from Butcher Box. If you want to try Butcher Box, you can check below and I will leave my link. Otherwise, you can reach out to me. But I just thought this out. It's typically about 2 breasts per package, which is plenty for today for what I'm doing. And so I'm going to get this into my small crock pot. And then in my big crock pot, I've got some beans that I was soaking overnight. I'm going to rinse them, put them in here. I've got a can of green chilies. These are the pinto beans I was using. And then later on to go with it, this is my last bag of this rice. I am not going to buy it anymore because we are really trying to eliminate a lot of things from our diet. And there are ingredients in here that I just don't care for. So if you have a copycat version of this recipe, let me know, because my family absolutely loves it, but we're just trying to make some changes. So let's get going. All right, crock pot number 1 has the chicken breast in it, and then I've got just this Mateo's salsa. We get this at Costco, and we have so many jars of salsa around the house that's kind of what inspired me to do this meal. So I'm just using what's left of this salsa. I would say it's maybe 3/4 of a cup. I didn't measure it. That's just kind of what I think is probably about in there. And then I've just got some taco seasoning. I get this from Costco as well. And I'm going to do, I think, a heaping tablespoon of taco seasoning. There we go. And that is all I'm going to put in there. And I'm just going to turn that on. The chicken is still kind of frozen, so it's going to give off some liquid. So I don't really think I need any additional liquid in there. So that's it. I'm going to close the lid. I'm going to set it on high for the first hour, and then after that I will move it down to low. The high just helps get it heated up faster and get that chicken going, and then reducing it to low. So that's crock pot 1. To my crock pot, I already put in 4 cups of water, and I'm just going to add in 2 more, so a total of 6 cups of water. And I had 2 cups of beans that I soaked overnight. So we're just going to dump those in there. So 2 cups of the organic pinto beans that I get from Azure. Get those in there. Okay. And I didn't have broth, so I'm actually just using Better Than Bouillon, but I forgot I'm going to measure out my other things first. All right, I've got some cumin, and I'm going to do 2 teaspoons of cumin in there. Okay, 2 teaspoons of cumin. Then I just have some Redmond's real salt, and I'm just going to do a 1/4 teaspoon because the Better Than Bouillon has salt in it as well, so don't want to overdo it. All right, next up is just some minced onion, and I am not measuring that. If I had an onion, I would have just chopped one, but I am out of my onions. All right, and then I've got some roasted minced garlic. I'm also just going to dump some of that in there. And it is possible you won't need all of the liquid in here, but it's better to start out with too much, and then you can drain it a little bit. So a couple bay leaves, which we'll dig out later. Okay, 2 bay leaves. And then I've got that can of mild green chilies that are diced. Just going to dump that right in there. Perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to add in 6 teaspoons of Better Than Bouillon because I did 6 cups of water. This is vegetable Better Than Bouillon. You could use chicken or beef or whatever. You could use chicken broth too. I just figured I'd use my vegetable one because I don't use it near as much as my other ones, and so it'd be a good way to use it. 3. That would then also make these vegetarian if you if you're a vegetarian, and this will eventually just kind of heat into the crock pot. So 4, 5. I could have mixed it ahead of time, but I figured why bother, just put it in there, it'll work. And then 6, one more. I think 6 at least. Talking and doing this is okay. There's 6 teaspoons of better than bouillon, and then just gonna give it a little bit of a stir here, get some of that mixed together. So I'll just let that cook just like my chicken. I'm gonna start it out on high and let it cook for a little while, and then I'll reduce it down to low. I just want to make sure this is ready. My kids are trying out a different church tonight, and so I have to feed them beforehand. Our current church, they get pizza, but this church that we're going to try just has snacks, so I have to feed them dinner before. So I just need to get my lid, there it is, cover that up, and let that go. And I'll see you here later.
I am draining off some of the liquid. I did not drain off near enough.
This ended up being definitely more soupy than refried beanie, and that's okay. I'm just going to take some of this and I'm just going to add it right into my chicken, mix it all together, and we will use that for the quesadillas. This is not going to go to waste. I can mix it with beans, or I mean with beef, and do it for other types of like enchiladas and things like that. So it's okay. It's not a waste. It's just not what I wanted it to be. So I just mixed the chicken and the beans together, and that's what I'll put inside the quesadilla.
Just laying out my big tortilla shells. I think they're 12-inch shells, and I only needed 2 to cover my pan, and then I'm just scooping the chicken and bean filling right onto it, and then I am going to go ahead and shred up some of the cheese. Now I am just going to top the chicken and bean mixture with a whole bunch of cheese, and then take another tortilla shell, and I just placed it in the middle and folded over all of the edges so it was completely covered. And then I just set another pan right on top just to hold it down, and then into the oven it goes. And then after a little while I took the top off, and I'm going to let it brown a little bit longer, and there you go. A delicious, easy sheet pan quesadilla. Thanks for joining.